Hey guys, Flight from Zors here. We're going to be going over the second part of the hard mode Revan fight for Sniper DPS. Now if you don't really know what all this is about, then you probably want to check out my previous video, which is right here. Um, that is the first part of the hard mode Revan fight, the easier part. If you've already mastered, or your group has mastered floors 1 and 2, then you can go ahead and jump straight into this video because this is going to be dealing entirely with Phase 3, the third floor. All to do with Revan and the Machine Core and the purple circles, the dreaded purple circles. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely very difficult. This is going to be the hump that everyone's going to have to get over. Really, really, really difficult phase. But just bear with me. I'm going to go over everything that I do to maximize my DPS. Snipers don't fare very well in this particular fight. No, Yolo does better than me in this particular fight with his sniper. I'm just going to be going over what I do for the Machine Core, how to survive, how to maximize your DPS, and all that. Now you notice right when you come out, you basically have to break the shield down. Don't pop too many cooldowns. Definitely don't pop an Adrenal. I pop Target Acquire just to keep up energy for this particular part. But when the shield is down is when you actually want to pop all the cooldowns. Well, your only cooldown, basically the Adrenal. That's it. So you see everyone pops their class buffs just to get as much damage as possible because you want to. I'll pause it here when the circles come out. Alright, circles come out. I'll go over the mechanic really quick. Basically, these 4 circles spawn. This is 2 right here. This is inner 3. This is 4, and this is 7. I say inner 3 here because the positions 9 and 3, the only 2 positions that have this, actually have 2 possibilities. There's actually inner 9, outer 9, inner 3, and then outer 3, which is kind of off the screen to the left, or to the right there. So I say inner 3 because this is the actual inner position for 3. And they can spawn at the same time, so there is a possibility to get inner 9 and outer 9 at the same time, so definitely look out for that. When circles are kind of like in a line like that, it actually makes it pretty easy because you can just stare at one location if they happen to explode at the same time, or before or after each other. So what's going to happen is they're going to land all here, and then after a few seconds, one of them is going to flicker, or kind of like miniature explode, but stay there. Then 2 seconds later, another one's going to flicker, and then 2 seconds later, another one's going to flicker, and then the fourth one will flicker. And after all that, in 2 seconds right after that, the first one, in the same order, will explode. And if you're not looking at it, you'll get knocked back and off the edge and die. So the whole point is memorizing the order in which they flicker, and then when the last one flickers, look at the first one, look at the second one, look at the third one, then look at the fourth one, and then continue. And you see that's exactly what happens here. And I have pretty poor resolution, so just bear with me so you can actually see what's going on. So that right there was the flicker for inner 3. And you see here knockback is actually about to happen. Knockbacks and pull-ins happen in this phase, which is actually the other hardest part about this fight. I actually have entrench up right here, as you can see. I use entrench for the knockbacks. I don't use it for pull-ins, because mostly pull-ins will coincide with circles. So, and you cannot be in cover. Cover fixates your position, your direction. So you can't actually turn and look at these circles, which the knockbacks go through entrench. So you have to be out of cover when you're looking at these purple circles, which means if you're on the inside and you have entrench, you can't use entrench to actually mitigate the pull-in. So I do it for the knockbacks because they don't happen often. There's a couple situations towards the end of the fight where they'll happen. I'm not going to worry about those right now. I'll point it out when we get there. But basically 4 happened, and then the knockback happens. You can see everybody gets knocked back. Then 7 flickers, then 3 flickers. Yep, oh, wrong order. Regardless, that's basically the order there. You just look at him, and that's it. And then continue going. Another pull-in, that's pretty much it. Knock back the blades when you can. When Revan gets to 10%, he goes invincible, and the Machine Core comes up. That was actually a really good burn. We got that right after the purple circles came out, which is perfect. That's what you want to see. That's not going to happen every time, especially with groups that haven't cleared this before. You're not going to be seeing burns like that. You're probably going to see at least 2 rounds of purple circles before the Machine Core comes out, which is going to be tough, but just try to do as much DPS as humanly possible. So Core comes out. Put your dots out, cull. At this point, a knockback is going to be happening pretty soon. You won't have entrench for it, so don't bother, but it's fine. So just get right back in. If you have parsley, or not parsley, star pars, definitely have those timers up, because those timers show you when the knockbacks and pull-ins are happening, and pull-ins are mostly going to coincide with the purple circle thing. So just by default, your reaction, your reflex reaction, should be moving out of the ring in the middle where you can damage the core. You should be moving out of that if you're looking at purple circles. It's going to hurt your DPS a little bit. When you get used to it, you can minimize and maximize your DPS as much as possible. Minimize downtime, maximize DPS as much as possible. However, if you're learning this mechanic, definitely just move back out of the circle for that pull-in when the purple circles come out, so you can just look at them. And definitely don't do any DPS while that's happening. You can, under a couple circumstances, get one global cooldown off. If there's a 12 circle or a 10 circle, so basically behind the machine core, so if you do any type of global cooldowns in the machine core, it'll keep your facing towards them. Under those circumstances, you can get one global cooldown off, and only one. 2 is cutting it way too close. 2 is just too risky. So only get like one dot off, one weakening blast, something like that, and then move on. And you can see here, entrench is coming back up, and I'm just pew-pewing away. Optimally for DPS, you should be using a 3-cull rotation on the machine core for a couple of reasons. One, when you get knocked back or when you're waiting for a pull-in, your dots aren't going to be ticking. You can only deal damage to the machine core if you're in melee range. It's not just you can't use abilities on the outside, you just don't do damage on the outside. So there's no point in actually using global cooldowns to apply dots if you're going to have to walk out or get knocked back soon. So 3-cull rotation is actually optimal for the entire machine core phase, regardless of any of the mechanics. And here a pull-in is actually coming, so you can see I walked out to look at him. Yep, and that's what happens when you don't look at a purple circle. Don't forget to apply both your dots like that, and that's pretty much it. This is where you squeeze in all your DPS, is in these parts. You see pushback was coming, and I had entrench, so I just popped entrench. And you can kind of see the 2 purple circles there, and another one at 12, and then one right here. So there was just a knockback, which tells me that the next one's going to be a pull-in, which means you want to immediately come back out, especially when these purple circles are out. So you can just don't DPS, just pay attention to the core, or to the purple circle. Sorry, just pay attention to the purple circles, and you're fine. And then look straight back at that one, and good. So squeeze in more DPS as much as possible. You can see that was a 3-cull rotation. Applied more dots. There's going to be a pull-in coming again, and I have entrench, but I'm not going to use entrench because the purple circles are out. And since the purple circles are out, I got to be looking at the purple circles, and I can't do that if I'm sitting in entrench. So that's why I walked out and didn't use entrench. However, when these purple circles are done, just right here, last one, boom. Now I can just pop entrench and not worry about the next mechanic, which is the knockback right there. I could just apply my dots and go straight in, and easy peasy. Lots of damage. I think I ended up doing around 450,000 damage on the core, which is all right. It's definitely not carrying your weight, but for a sniper, not an overpowered power tech or merc, it's definitely sufficient. So you can see here I just let the dots fall off. See, that was the 4th, maybe 5th round of purple circles. At that point, that's when it's going to start getting disjointed. You can actually see where we had a knockback when there was purple circles out. That's when they start getting disjointed. In the first 4 purple circles, it's going to be a pull-in during the purple circles. For that one, it was actually a knockback. So definitely pay attention to that transition if you end up getting that far. And here we're under 30%, so we're going to get some major damage going. If you notice, I actually don't pop my adrenal pretty much this entire time. Definitely don't forget to do that. That's another mistake that I made. We're at about 70 stacks, which is the perfect time to use the ballistic shield. Ballistic shield's a perfect boon for this particular phase. As overpowered as PTs and mercs are for this fight, you know, nothing can really beat that that ballistic shield, apart from, you know, more utilized and overpowered. What's it called? Reflect, whatever reflect that the power techs have, which is really useful for pretty much every fight. But we'll keep going. This one I actually think that most of us die to, and I think 2 people will end up surviving to kill the core, but it's whatever. See, we ended up walking out. A couple of us ended up walking out when there was an actual knockback. So don't do that. Definitely pay attention. And you can see here a couple more people die, I think, to the core. But that's pretty much it. That's really the whole phase. It's gonna be tough. Really tough. You can see the explosion at the end. It's kind of cool. Machine core definitely a really tough phase. The hardest part about the phase, I think, is actually the very beginning. In the very beginning, you actually have to deal with Revan. So tanks actually have to deal with all the mechanics that Revan does while purple circles are out and popping and doing all that random stuff. So basically that's what I do for that particular phase. You could rewind it. There's a lot of stuff that are very instinctive and reaction based, reflex based. So I'm definitely leaving out a lot of stuff, but if you just, you know, rewind through the video, just look through, you know, all the rotations and stuff, you can see what I do. Pay attention to the rotation. I'll put a link in the description for the pattern, what actually happens with the knockbacks, pull-ins, the call-outs, all that stuff. Let's actually do that. You can actually listen to a call-out really quick. I'll turn the volume on. We'll listen to it real quick.
10, 7.
No! 1 mil down.
1 mil.
Keep going. Focus up. Push out.
Yolo, you get the Hedgehog's call?
Yep. Hydraulics.
10, 9, 12, or 10, 9, 12, 4.
Alright, so you saw there that he called it out first as 10, 9, whatever. And then he called that out again as they were exploding. You can see the second part of that last one. That's what's going to be happening pretty much every time. Don't rely, if you're learning this fight, if you're learning this phase, don't rely entirely 100% on that call out. Definitely look at the purple circles yourself. That'll help you out far more than just relying on callouts. You should be looking at the purple circles. Definitely don't be listening to callouts on your own. Look at the purple circles as they come out. Your rotation, as a DPS, your rotation should be, especially as a virulent sniper, your rotation is just dead easy. You can put that on a back burner in your mind as you're paying attention to those purple circles, watching them flicker and then staring at them as they pop. So definitely practice that rotation. Most of my difficulties surrounding this fight have been around my mouse. I don't know if anybody's had this issue before, but my mouse doesn't register when I hold down or depress the right click. It'll sometimes just register as me rapidly clicking it, which is kind of annoying. But latency also pretty big issue for that fight. But that's pretty much it. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, anything like that, put them in the comments below. I'd like to thank pretty much my guild family, the academy, for all these awesome opportunities to make these videos. But yeah, definitely, just as a disclaimer for all my videos, I am not the best sniper. I do have a few really high parses, so if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Thank you.